Kick it off, Billy.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1229, June 19th. It's Juneteenth, 2024.
Do we say happy Juneteenth? Or
Where's
is it just
the party?
Okay. Gotcha.
100 degrees on this day in 1933. And on Juneteenth in 1950, it was 41 degrees. The swimming season is here, and the people in the know have been using Aquacide products to maintain their lakeshore all summer long and keep the lake air, the swim area, free of weeds and algae and all the crud the kids don't like. Aquacide products are made right there in White Bear Lake. They're easy to use. They work quickly. They're registered with the EPA and DNR. I've used them. It's amazing. They actually work, and they don't screw up the fish. You don't need to let weeds overtake your lake area this summer, your swim area. Call Aquacide, describe what you're looking at. They'll get you the right products and make sure your place looks great all summer long. Call Aquacide at 1-800-328-9350 or go to aquacide.com.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
I wish to say in honor of Juneteenth that the country just ain't going to be the same without Willie Mays. He's 93. He had a great long life. I love the video of Willie playing stickball with the kids in Brooklyn.
That is really cool.
I was surprised to note this. One of the years who won the World Series in about 1953? The Dodgers, maybe?
No, Dodgers didn't win until 55.
Well, anyway, maybe it was 55. He and Campanella, they each had $11,000 World Series share for winning.
Wait a minute. Campanella's with the Dodgers.
I'm sorry. Who am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Monty Irvin.
In 53, the New York Yankees beat the Brooklyn Dodgers.
I guess all I was going to say is
1954. Monty Irvin was his buddy in this venture.
Oh, they got a liquor store, right, Jeff?
Yes.
Monty and Howard Cosell was their lawyer.
Correct.
And they used their $11,000 World Series share to invest in this liquor store. Yeah. And the only thing that I was struck by is $11,000 was a lot of money back in those days. That was a lot of dough. I didn't know the series shares were that relatively generous back in the early 50s.
I think it's a lot of money now.
Because what would 11 grand be a day?
A hell of a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Pay off a bunch of bills. Can you give a synopsis of his career, how he started up and made his way to the bigs?
Well, he was discovered in Birmingham, Alabama, playing for the Black Barons in the Negro League. But Jackie Robinson had already set the table, so it was safe to draft him. And the Dodgers took him, and he played here for 34 days?
The Giants. You keep saying Dodgers.
I'm saying Giants. I'm sorry. And he, in fact, today I saw on social media a guy standing in front of the house in Minneapolis where Willie Mays lived for 4 months in 1951 when he played for the Millers. And they had to call him up. Because
he was hitting about 700.
He was hitting over 400 with home runs and runs batted in, and they just said we got to bring him up. And of course, he never went back down, to my knowledge.
11,000 today would be $128,429.
That's a nice share.
When you say he was hitting so well, is that more a reflection of mediocre pitching or just unbelievable at bats?
I just think he was that good because the pitching in AAA back then would not have been mediocre.
The Boston Braves and Brooklyn Dodgers both scouted him, but the New York Giants and scout Eddie Montague signed him on a $4,000 contract. Mays spent the rest of 1950 with Class B Trenton Giants of the Interstate League, batting .353.
Then he went to the Millers,
promoted to AAA, Minneapolis Millers of the American Association in 51. He batted .477 in 35 games.
.477.
And that's not a standout high school kid playing with, kids that are.
And when I say the pitching would not have been mediocre, it's because there were much fewer major league teams. So there was still great talent trying to get to the major league. Same with hockey. A lot of the guys I watched as a kid who played for the St. Paul Saints in the International Hockey League, the IHL, by today's standards, they easily would have had jobs in the NHL. Easily would have had jobs in the NHL. So Willie was facing good pitching here. But I think what's interesting, I've never analyzed it. I've never been a baseball stat guy, except I find them fascinating when
What's his
interesting.
IPA?
For example, one of the most interesting stats to me in baseball history is Willie Mays had the same batting average at home as on the road during his entire career.
Wow.
And who did I say? Willie Mays?
Yeah,
Stan Musial.
Yeah.
Stan Musial had the same bat. I think it was 306 at home and on the road his entire career.
And isn't the running theory that Mays would have had even more home runs had he not played so many years at the Polo Grounds?
I was getting to that. Think of the brunt of the prime of his career played in that lousy Candlestick Park, where it was cold and windy, and just can you imagine what he might have done in a town like St. Louis or Chicago or whatever?
Denver?
No, Denver. Yeah.
I do love this about the 50s. It shows you it's something that your parents always worried about. Playing excellent defense, Mays was called up by the Giants in May 24th, 51. Initially, Mays was reluctant to accept the promotion because he did not believe he was ready to face major league pitchers. Stunned, Giants manager called Mays directly and said, "Quit costing the ball club money with long-distance phone calls and join the team." Worried about long-distance tolls.
Jeez.
It ain't going to be the same country.
And he did miss 53 because of military, correct?
Yeah, he was in the Army, Korean War.
When did he retire? And who is he with?
Well, he made it into the 70s.
73,
with the Mets.
I've got it right here with the Mets.
Yeah. 54 was the first year the winner's player share ever went over $10,000. So
wow.
they
I was looking at the
11-1 each.
The attendance for the World Series at Yankee Stadium were all in the 60,000s.
Well, that's where it held.
Yeah.
What team mostly claims him today?
The Giants.
Giants. He played all but 2 years, I think, with the Giants.
New York Giants until they
half.
moved to Frisco in 58.
58. Yep.
Minnesota plays a part again in his career with a leadoff home run against Milt Pappas in the 65 All-Star game. He set a record for most hits in his All-Star games, which was 21.
Really? He had 21 hits in All-Star games?
Yeah. And a leadoff homer in these 65.
And that would have been that would not have been the park he played in with the Millers. He would have played at Nicollet Park.
Nicollet Park, yeah.
Because the Met wasn't built until 56. And by 56, he was a big star for the Giants. Well, okay. God bless you, Willie.
And I asked you this off the air, but you did interview him?
Yeah, he came to town one year for a golf tournament or something, and I met him and talked to him and did a piece.
Our colleague, Mr. Royce, did a very nice thing. One of my older brothers is a Giants fan, has been since about 1956 because of Willie Mays.
Mm-hmm.
Pat went and interviewed Willie maybe 10, 12 years ago.
It was for the All-Star game when it was here in 14.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. And he got a ticket for the game, had Willie sign it, and gave it to me and said, "Here, give this to your brother."
Yeah,
that's cool.
Royce did that?
Royce did that.
Then your brother used it as a bookmark and threw it away.
Right.
My brother doesn't read. What are you talking about? Oh, sorry.
Give this to your brother.
I got a Joe DiMaggio signed baseball.
Wow, nice.
But I can't find it.
Oh,
it's in there somewhere.
Not
Ruth?
Oh, it's DiMaggio.
Oh, okay.
I got a Kirby Puckett signed ball from when we were out there, and that little stinker did not sign it on the sweet spot.
You didn't?
No.
Well, what are you going to sell it?
I mentioned.
He probably thought I was going to sell it. I'm never going to sell it.
Oh.
I mentioned
maybe.
Juneteenth. Apparently, the history dates to June 19th, 1865, when 2,000 Union troops arrived in Galveston Bay, Texas, after years of fighting the Democrats. the Army announced that the more than 250,000 enslaved black people in Texas were free by executive decree of the Republican president, Abraham Lincoln. This day came to be known as Juneteenth by the newly freed people in Texas. And Jordy that makes it sound like he's not telling the truth. Jordy informs us that several of his ancestors died in the fight to free the slaves from their Democrat masters, one at the Battle of Nashville. Remember, it's also National Martini Day.
Oh,
so that should help.
I can't wait to get home now.
That should help any Juneteenth celebration.
Yeah, I'll say.
Ain't no mail today.
Joe,
Was
why
the credit union open?
No.
Why was it 1865 when the Emancipation Proclamation went into effect January 1st, 1863, Joe? Why?
No internets.
Yeah, well, you know what? As outrageous as that is, you're absolute. Well,
Took a long
do you
time
believe
for the
that?
news to get around.
Do you believe that it actually took that long, or they just said, nah, we're not letting them go?
What I believe is that the enslaved in Texas probably heard about it, but they didn't trust acting on it because they hadn't received any official note. And finally, the union got wind of this, and 2,000 troops showed up and said, "It's all true. You're free to leave. Goodbye."
And Juneteenth has been celebrated in Galveston since that day, yearly, every year. It's been a big deal in Galveston.
I told you guys about the book I read, right? Called James. Did I mention that on the air?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. No.
By it's a female author. It's the story. It's a retelling of James and Huck escaping Hannibal.
You did tell us about this, yeah.
And it's wonderful, wonderful. And in this twist, it's the same adventures that Huck and Jim had when Mark Twain wrote the story. They met the Duke and the King and Ollie and the minstrel show and all these jams they got themselves into trying to escape. Jim wanted to escape and earn money to then go buy his wife and kid and live as a free man. And but the twist is that Jim speaks the King's English when he's talking to other black people.
Like Arvel.
Yeah, just like it. And Huck was terribly, Jim, why do you sound like that? And finally, Jim gave up and just started talking like that to Huck. And it's just,
There's
Just like Orville.
let me get that back to Willie Mays, if you will. If you've ever seen the documentary, it came out about 2 years ago about Willie.
Mhm.
Willie was soft-spoken. You've seen it.
Very
It was obviously.
soft-spoken.
At the end, when they're setting up for an interview with the fellow who directed and produced the film,
Mhm.
they're just chatting and normal stuff. Willie has a completely different comportment. Is that what you call it?
Sure.
And is talking very differently than he does that we came to know Willie. And I'm sure Willie had to okay that could be used in the film, so I don't think he'd be mad about it. But it was funny and very interesting.
What's it called,
And a
John?
lot of 4-letter words were thrown around in that last part. You know what? I'll have to look it up. It's a really, really
The
good
life and times of
I always find this interesting, and I don't know why I get bent out of shape. Do you know that he only got I know, but 94%? Like, who's the voter that says he ain't going in?
Complete your thought. What are you saying? 94 what?
He had 94% of the vote to get in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, who are the 6%?
Yeah,
that
who's
said, no,
Not
the
really.
catch, the whole deal, it just doesn't work. for me.
Overrated.
Well, remember
Clan
Pat
members.
said
You might be right.
there were a group of writers who would never, ever vote for anyone on the first ballot. It didn't matter who it was. They just wouldn't vote for somebody on the first ballot.
Were you on that ballot? Would you have been voting then? 79.
Yes.
So those writers who never played but just watched had enough.
That's what
I was not one of the 6%.
Okay.
I was going to bring that up, Matthew. What's the deal with the pomposity of baseball writers?
Yeah.
Why do they all think they're geniuses? What the hell?
Because they played Little League, maybe some high school ball, and then went to school to be a writer, but they still think they're.
And Royce's no different. He thinks he's smarter than everybody.
Any more pitching.
Is there anybody in baseball today like Willie Mays? My answer is no.
Do you mean talent-wise or the overall package?
Just that overall overwhelming package and character. Is there anyone like Willie Mays? I'm saying there isn't. I'm trying to think.
Nobody comes to mind.
Maybe?
That's who I was going to. If he'd stay healthy, talent-wise, he would be. And
Buxton?
He doesn't have much of a personality, though. He's a
No,
pretty
he
quiet.
doesn't.
He's a pretty quiet guy.
Otani?
No, Trout.
I know Otani though.
Well, other than his gambling,
Except for that
alleged
gambling thing.
Allegedly.
I just don't think they make him like they used to.
Deion Sanders or Bo Jackson, maybe?
If Bo Jackson could have had a career, he was one hell of a player for
He
about
was.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
I mean,
Mauer? Joe?
No.
Wasn't black enough.
We're
just
okay.
not,
Only
plus a
black
shorter
guys?
career.
Well, I thought you were saying, is there any other like African American player that
I don't care what race.
I don't either.
Just somebody that came to play every day and had excellence every day.
And Mauer doesn't fit in.
Rodney Klein
I
Carew?
just think
No. You know who? Hey, in all seriousness,
I think Joe is a Hall of Famer. I'm just not saying he's Willie Mays.
you know who would have been close, even though he had a short career, is Puck. He had a great personality.
Yeah,
Everybody loved him.
yeah,
He was a
yeah.
great player.
I'm becoming enamored with, probably because he's on my favorite team, but Juan Soto is pretty much the same kind of player. Plays every day.
Yeah.
He hits 300. He's going to hit 40 home runs. He's going to knock in 120 just like every other year.
He's got charisma.
He's definitely got charisma.
Yeah.
What about Rod Carew?
Too sullen. I mean, he didn't have Willie's effervescence.
Got it.
Great player. I love him dearly. But, if Nolan Ryan was pitching, Rodney suddenly got the flu.
It was a great quote from Willie. I saw it today where he said, when people show up at the ballpark, I want to make sure they have a good time. So,
Well, he had the hat. He had his hat configured so it would blow off on purpose because he knew it was great theater. Anyway, let's move on. Where's the party for Juneteenth?
You know what else on this day, sadly?
What?
11 years, Vince Flynn.
Wow.
Yeah, and I found an author I'd like to talk to because I bet he would acknowledge his debt of gratitude to Vince Flynn. It's a guy named Jack Carr, and his Mitch Rapp is a guy named James Reese, and I've read 3 of them now, and each one's getting better. Carr is a former Navy SEAL, and his heroes like Mitch Reese is almost mythical in nature for what he can accomplish against all odds. And I bet he was a big fan of, and they're not ripoffs.
Sure.
It's just the same genre. And
Do we need to add this?
well, these authors don't tour anymore.
Right.
And
Get him on the phone.
Yeah.
He hosts a podcast called Danger Close or Danger Close. I'm not sure which.
So we can add it too.
Author's Corner, Suchi style. Who will it be next?
Talk to Jack Carr.
according to his Wikipedia, his favorite authors are Tom Clancy, Nelson DeMille, and Louis L'Amour. Which is
Really?
interesting.
Oh,
Louis?
Yeah.
other than Clancy, those two are heavy hitters. If you're going to move on to Juneteenth, and you mentioned the party, did you notice reading in the news today that both political parties are kind of spinning Juneteenth to their favor? You notice that?
I've tended to ignore any reading about Juneteenth.
I went deep down the Juneteenth rabbit hole today, and I just noticed that both sides are claiming Juneteenth for their party. I thought that was interesting.
Have you read the astonishing numbers of black voters who are awakening to Trump?
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of the things. And believe me, he's promoting it heavily.
Well, it's a shame it's Trump, but I've been telling people for years that the Democrats haven't done the black population in this country any good at all. Zero. They've made you less than. You should reject any Democrat that you want to vote for. They're all phony when it comes to supporting you. And according to a CNN piece I'm reading, or according to CNN, Biden's got how many points is this? At this point in the 2020 election, then candidate Joe Biden was winning 86% of the black vote, while Trump was winning just 7%. Today, Biden is winning 70%. Trump is winning 21%, a net gain of 30 points. And people keep looking for that to go back to normal, and they don't see it. They think they're careening toward a historic performance for Republican presidential candidates, the likes of which had not been seen in 6 decades. The area where Biden is hemorrhaging support is among younger black voters, those under the age of 50. Joe Biden was up by 80 points among this group back at this point in 2020. Look where the margin is down to, 37 points. That's amazing. The good news for Republicans is less racially divided America is an America where people vote more based on their beliefs than their identity. And apparently that is bad news for Democrats. So there you are. Is there any
All
more?
right, so who got the wake-up call? Let's go.
They're all listening to GL. Part of this is due to fading memories and weakening ties. Black Americans who lived through the civil rights era still support the party at very high levels, but younger generations are wavering. There's also the weakening correlation between income and voter choice in U.S. politics. The image of the GOP as the party of wealthy country club elites is dimming, opening the door to working and middle-class voters of all ethnicities. That's true. I want